Everything woke literally turns to absolute shit, and now it's Disney's turn. Disney executives get caught red-handed pushing a radical woke agenda that promises to completely destroy their company. In this video, we're going to take a look at the shocking leaked video from a recent executive meeting. We're going to see how Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is responding to all this, and stick with me to the very end of this video when I'll reveal that all Disney is ultimately doing here is guaranteeing their own inevitable demise. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve with you. Great to be with you. As always, I'm your daily fake news antidote, so come on into your PATRIOT Professor's Den, where I help you to try to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and insane times. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we begin, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's our good friends over at Virtual Shield. If you're not using a VPN or virtual private network on your desktop, tablet, or mobile device while browsing the internet, then you really are exposing yourself to a lot of potential danger. But protecting yourself online simply has never been easier. And to make it even better, our good friends over at Virtual Shield are offering our audience 50% off for life for all free trial signups. Think about that. That's half off for life. So don't wait. This is a limited time offer. Click on the link in the description below and sign up for a free 30-day trial to Virtual Shield VPN today. All right, gang, strap yourselves in here. The Disney Corporation is shocking parents across the nation as a recording of a Zoom call among Disney executives reveals a company that has gone absolutely insanely woke. The video of the meeting was obtained by Chris Rufo, of course, has been on the front lines of battling CRT, and he publicized a series of conversations revealing an appalling political agenda among these woke executives to soak their theme parks and their movies with radical LGBT ideology. Here's Carrie Burke, president of Disney's General Entertainment Content, discussing how she's committed to seeing half of Disney's characters be LGBT and other minorities.
I'm here as a mother of two queer children, actually. One transgender child and one pansexual child, and also as a leader. And that was the thing that really got me, because I have heard so much from so many of my colleagues over the course of the last couple of weeks in open forums and through emails and phone conversations. And I feel a responsibility to speak, not just for myself, but for them. To all of us. We had an open forum last week at 20th where, again, the home of really incredible, groundbreaking LGBTQIA stories over the years, where one of our execs stood up and said, you know, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And I realized, oh, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters, and not have to be about gay stories. And so that's been very eye-opening for me. And I can tell you, it's something that I feel perhaps had this moment not happened, I as a leader and me as my colleagues would not have focused on. And going forward, I certainly will be more so. I know that we will be, and I hope this is a moment where, shoot, the 50% of the tears, sorry, are coming. We just don't allow each other to go backwards.
Then we heard from Disney production coordinator Alan March, who talked about the need to craft stories specific to LGBT communities on a regular basis.
Space.
Yeah, I've had the privilege of working with the Moon Girl team for the last 2 years, and they've been really open to exploring queer stories. And I'm on the production side. Part of the work that I feel like I can put in is making sure that we take place in modern day New York. So making sure that that's like an accurate reflection of New York. So I put together like a tracker of our background characters to make sure that we have like the full breadth of expression. And we got into a very similar conversation, Carrie, of like, oh, all of our like gender nonconforming characters are in the background. And so it's not just a numbers game of how many LGBTQ plus characters you have. We got the further, the more centered a story is on a character, the more nuanced you get into their story. And especially with like trans characters, you can't see if someone is trans. There's not one way to look trans. And so kind of the only way to have these like canonical trans characters, canonical asexual characters, canonical bisexual characters is to give them stories where they can like be their whole selves.
And as if that weren't woke enough for you, Disney Diversity and Inclusion Manager Vivian Ware revealed that the theme parks have now eliminated all mention of ladies and gentlemen or boys and girls so as to be more gender inclusive.
Last summer, we removed all of the gendered greetings in relationship to our life skills. So we no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've provided training for all of our cast members in relationship to that. So now they know it's hello everyone or hello friends. We are in the process of changing over those recorded messages. And so many of you are probably familiar when we brought the fireworks back to the Magic Kingdom. We no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we say dreamers of all ages. And so I love the fact that it's opened up the creativity, the opportunity for our cast members to look at that. We have our cast members working with merchandise, working with food and beverage, working with all of our guest facing areas where perhaps, you know, we want to create that magical moment with our cast members, with our guests. And we don't want to just assume because someone might be in our interpretation, maybe presenting as female, that they may not want to be called princess. So let's think differently about how do we really engage with our guests in a meaningful and inclusive way that makes it magical and memorable for everyone.
But then it got really political. Disney's activism partner, Nadine Smith of Equality Florida, actually made the argument that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, in signing what's called the Parental Rights Bill that prevents LGBT topics from being discussed among kindergartners to third graders, she claimed he wants to erase the LGBT community and criminalize their existence.
Coverage. But the context is also who is pushing it, what their record is, and what the history is in Florida. You know, you can go back to the 50s, to the Johns Committee, where the legislature was actively put together a task force whose whole job was to root out civil rights workers and any homosexuals in the university system. They destroyed lives. Literally, people committed suicide behind the relentless attack. And then you have Anita Bryant, and many of us are of an age to remember Anita Bryant's Save Our Children campaign, which was premised on the same ideas that undergird this bill. And because of her campaign that equated being gay with being a child predator, she was able to pass a ban on gay people being able to adopt, a marriage ban, and then she took that nationwide. And so when we react to this, a lot of us are reacting from the pain we experienced of being isolated and stigmatized in school. But we're also reacting from the reality that when they can erase you, when they can criminalize your existence, when they can demonize who you are, the next step is to criminalize you and take your kids. And we're already seeing that in Texas. So the slippery slope between these ugly messages, emanating from legislative leaders in our state, and then amplified by our governor, whose spokesperson immediately began calling everyone who opposed this bill groomers, aka pedophiles.
Now, needless to say, Governor Ron DeSantis shot back at Disney's ideological insanity in no uncertain terms. Take a look.
Disney to come out and put a statement and say that the bill should have never passed and that they are going to actively work to repeal it, I think, one, was fundamentally dishonest, but two, I think that crossed the line. This state is governed by the interests of the people of the state of Florida. It is not based on the demands of California corporate executives. They do not run this state. They do not control this state. I also thought it was interesting. I talked to the Speaker of the House yesterday afternoon, and he said Disney never called him while they were putting this through the House. They didn't seem to have a problem with it when it was going through. If this was such an affront, why weren't they speaking up at the outset? And yet they won't. And then for them to say they're going to actively work to repeal substantive protections for parents as a company that is supposedly marketing its services to parents with young children, I think they crossed the line. And, people ask me, kind of about, their posture on the bill. I said, you know what? If we would have put in the bill that you were not allowed to have curriculum that discussed the oppression of the Uyghurs in China, Disney would have endorsed that in a second. And that's the hypocrisy of this. And, we're going to make sure we're fighting back when people are threatening our parents and threatening our kids.
Well, there is your next president, or your future president, 2028, no question there. Now, DeSantis is rightly seizing the moment here. He's up for re-election, of course, in November. And if he seizes this moment, if he runs against Disney and CRT, he's going to win in a landslide. He will and because we have the data. If the woke left thinks that these culture war battles are going to benefit them in any way, they're sorely mistaken. And that's because, and we've talked about this in a number of other videos, we now have data that shows that woke issues actually split the Democrat vote, all the while uniting Republicans like never before. What we're finding from a number of surveys is that when you ask Democrats if they support various woke issues, like teaching CRT in our schools or transgender athletes competing in women's sports, whatever it happens to be, you actually see Democrats split on the issue, like 60-40. Again, I've seen it myself. I have talked personally with several Democrats who have never even thought of voting Republican in their lives. And when various issues of wokeness comes up, they're repelled by it. I mean, in no uncertain terms, they want nothing to do with it. They flat out reject it. So anything woke, we have to remember this, anything woke put out there actually splits the Democrat vote. However, when you ask Republicans questions like that, should we teach CRT in our schools, or should transgender athletes compete in women's sports? What's their answer? I mean, it's a resounding no way, right? So if that's the case, if that's the data, then it's no surprise what the latest polls show in terms of support or opposition towards Florida's parental rights bill, or now law. According to Fox News, when asked, should students in kindergarten through third grade be taught about sexual orientation in the classroom by their teachers, 52% of Democrats said no, they don't approve of such education. Only 36% voiced their support. So we can see that this data that we have, it actually pans out quite well with this Florida parental rights law. The Democrats split over the issue. Whereas when you ask Republicans what they think of the parental rights law, I mean, it's a solid 70+% of Republicans support it. So you have to understand that's the winning recipe for elections for the foreseeable future. These woke leftists at Disney are living in a very different realm, far removed from reality. They don't realize that even Democrats, many hardcore Democrats, are opposed to what they're advocating. At the same time, virtually all Republicans are opposed to it. That's not a winning formula for all things woke. So those are the political ramifications of what I think are going on here. DeSantis is going to win this. I mean, he's already won, okay? He's already won re-election just by running against Disney and CRT. I mean, look at this. Look at the latest, the polls. DeSantis' job approval rating right now is an astonishing 59%. 6 in 10 Floridians are all for DeSantis. But now circling back to Disney, I mean, seriously, think about it. If your clientele are children, and now every parent on the planet is learning about what you have planned in terms of pushing, again, what needs to be stressed here, a radically woke agenda. This is about as radical as things could possibly get with regard to this stuff. How on earth do you think this is going to fare with Disney's business model? I think Ben Shapiro said it best. So Disney's business plan is now radical activists are greater than parents. Let's see how well it works out for them. Well, we can already see it. Hashtag boycott Disney is already trending on Twitter, and we can just imagine that's just the beginning. If it is true that all things woke turns to shit, like my shirt says, and by the way, you can get your own shirt with just like this one by clicking on the link below to our merch store. You're going to absolutely love it. But if that's true, then we can be assured that the days of the Disney Corporation are indeed coming to an end. Wokeism is dividing the left and unifying the right. So let them push their woke agenda. It's only ultimately going to guarantee their own inevitable demise. Now, before you go, you'll definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded on a red tsunami in the making as bumbling Biden's poll numbers implode. You are not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on that link, and I will see you over there. God bless.